Hey internet! So I love India. I love its people, its culture, its history, its heritage, its food. And recently I've started to become more interested and engaged with Indian media, Indian politics, and what's going on in India today. Recently I came across an article on IndianTelevision.com. Aaj Tak, the nation's #1 news channel, is launching a new series that draws inspiration from one of the most prominent Indian icons. With elections coming up, Indian citizens are a bit unsure of what or who to believe, and this series aims to clear some things up. This media item was taken from late February 2014, and the show is titled Satyagraha 2014. Now, this is a word I'd never heard of before, so today I'm going to give you the lowdown on what the title means and its significance.
What's that? A place?
Nope.
A person?
No.
Curry?
Guess again.
Okay, religion.
Closer.
A form of peaceful protest conceptualized by Gandhi during his time fighting for Indian immigrants during the early 20th century.
That was oddly specific, but yes. Let's take a closer look now at Satyagraha, the concept in its entirety, what it did for us in the 20th century, and the way it's helped us to rethink conflict resolution strategy.
So our story begins with this guy, and for those of you who don't know who he is, you have seriously been living under a huge rock and should probably go outside or read a book or do something constructive. So Mohandas Gandhi was born in 1869 on the 2nd of October in Porbandar, India. After attending university, he went on to London to train as a barrister and returned to India in 1891. In 1893, he accepted a job at an Indian law firm in Durban, South Africa. Being a well-dressed and well-educated young Indian man, Gandhi was, to put it lightly, not too impressed with the way his fellow countrymen were being treated.
So there was a law in South Africa at the time known as the Asiatic Registration Law, almost simply known as the Black Act, and it kind of made life suck for Indian immigrants. When the Black Act was passed, all Indian citizens, young, old, men and women, were required by law to be fingerprinted by registration officers and also to carry documentation on them at all times, which was, kind of difficult for slaves and young Indian labourers. Gandhi was not down with this law, as you can probably imagine, and sought to provide justice for his Indian people. So it was here that Gandhi came up with the concept of Satyagraha. On the 11th of September 1906, September 11, Gandhi addressed a group of 3,000 Indians at a theatre in Johannesburg. He proposed a strategy of non-violence and non-violent action to oppose the oppressive government at the time.
Okay, but what is it exactly?
Satyagraha is simply the word that describes the essence of Gandhi's goals.
The term actually originated in a competition in the news sheet Indian Opinion in South Africa, 1906. It was an adaptation by Gandhi of one of the entries in that competition. Satyagraha is a fusion of the two Sanskrit words, satya, meaning truth, and agraha, meaning polite insistence or holding firmly to. For Gandhi, the term went far beyond mere passive resistance and came to mean strength in practicing non-violent methods.
So Satyagraha is basically the hippie-loving vegan approach to fighting.
If you want to think of it that way, Gandhi described it as the pursuit of truth.
Let's go back to 1906. The suppressed Indians heard Gandhi's concept and were like, sounds good, but Gandhi, the government is so powerful, how on earth do we fight them? We're so scrawny and have no guns, and in case you haven't noticed, they're pretty good at keeping people where they want them. There is no way we can fight. To which Gandhi responded with, guys, chill, no guns needed. We have the ability to respond to this non-violently and with our own self-suffering. Love your neighbour. And so Satyagraha was born. They came out into the streets with love for their enemy. Well, perhaps not love, but certainly fire in their peaceful hearts. Indians refused to get fingerprinted and picketed the documentation officers. Mass protests were organised, miners went on strike, and masses of Indians illegally travelled from Natal to Transvaal in opposition of the Black Act. It wasn't exactly a violence-less movement. Many of the protesters were beaten and arrested, including Gandhi himself. Fun fact, this was the first of Gandhi's many trips to jail over the years. In the long run, justice prevailed. It took almost 8 years of protest, but in June 1914, the Black Act was repealed. Gandhi had proven that non-violent protest could be immensely successful. So yeah, Gandhi was a peace-fighting badass, in the most non-violent of ways. By 1920, Gandhi was a dominant figure in Indian politics and had transformed the Indian National Congress. Satyagraha formed the basis of his program for peaceful non-cooperation with the British and included boycotts of British goods and institutions, like the Salt March of 1930. Even though a Hindu radical eventually killed 78-year-old Gandhi, his Satyagraha has revolutionized peace protest movements and our understanding of truth, justice, and the power of united arms. Many civil rights leaders, including Martin Luther King Jr.'s famous "I Dreamed a Dream" speech, use Gandhi's concept of nonviolent protest as a model for their own struggles. His influence on topics surrounding war, violence, peace, and freedom are some of the strongest in the 20th century and continue to prevail well into the 21st. Have you got that? In short, Satyagraha was a term coined by Gandhi. It means the pursuit of truth in the form of non-violent protest. It has helped to overthrow unjust laws both during Gandhi's lifetime and in peace movements thereafter. Which brings me right back to the media item I showed you before. Satyagraha is more than just a form of peace protest, especially for Indian citizens. The term is almost spiritual, and as the new television series suggests, central to Indian politics and the media.
So there it is. If you'd like to know more about Satyagraha, you can check out the links in the description box below, or check out the links at the end of the video. Thanks for watching.